also a very intelligent human being. She's also a cat herder, a mangler of music, and a breaker of codes. So I just love that so much. Everybody, put your hands together for today's guest, the lovely and talented Cathesaurus! Boom! There she is, everybody. That's woo! Yes, indeed. There she is. There she is. Oh, thank you for those claps, mighty, mighty. Appreciate it. Oh my gosh, this chair is gonna be the end of me because all I'm gonna want to do now is this. This is.
Is this a COVID-safe environment?
Oh yeah, no, it's not. I'm very happy that you're masked up. I was actually gonna ask you to mask. I didn't want to be rude, Cat, but I could you just mask up for this? I just, I heard the Delta variant is going off over there, so.
Oh, we got it bad. We got it bad.
Yeah, how is it, by the way? How is the thing? I mean, it seems like the lockdowns aren't as intense anymore, but.
Well, we're not in lockdown anymore, but the infections are going back up. I think the last I saw was 32,000 new cases yesterday.
Oh my God.
It's kind of, yeah.
What do you think? Do you think the country will lock down again?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think America will lock down again?
To be honest, I don't really know. Do you think you should? Have people learned?
No. Well, I personally don't think we should. I don't think it's healthy for our economy, which is dwindling down pretty well. A lot of people think that the economy is doing well, but a lot of people say it's not. I can't say that I understand all that much, but I don't think it would be good for us to do it just because of the nature of who we are as a people. And I think everyone saw what happened last year when the lockdowns went on. So I don't think it's a great idea, but I don't know. The death rates are going down, but the infections are going up. So I'm not sure if it's called for. And I don't want to be insensitive here because I know a lot of people suffered greatly from this pandemic. So, I hope not, is what I think. Is what I don't, but I don't think that we would do well with it. What's up, Wild But Sober? Welcome, buddy.
As I say, as far as the UK is concerned, the schools are just about to reopen. At the moment, children have not been offered the vaccination. Schools are reopening without mask mandates, without anything like that, without any kind of ventilation or preventative measures of that nature. So you've got to think that it's going to run rampant again for the third time. Yeah. So we kind of the first wave of lockdowns saw people in like nursing homes and old people's homes take the brunt of the deaths, and we had like over 150,000 deaths excess over what should have been at that time. Then as we've had our basically most of our vaccine rollout through adults, but they still haven't decided whether to vaccinate children, which seems ludicrous to me to at least offer it. So what's going to happen when schools reopen, I think it's just a world of hurt. But, nobody listens to me, so what can I tell them?
Puppet Princess, welcome in. Do you think that at some point the UK should lockdown if it gets if the infection rate keeps going the way it is?
I don't think there's going to be any choice. On both the occasions that we did it, we locked down too late, and after ignoring most of the advice from scientists who were saying we need to do it. I don't doubt that the same thing will occur this time. So if we do lock down, they'll do it too late after the horse has bolted, and probably end up opening up too soon. There is now a significant proportion, I would say significant proportion of the population that don't believe in the science, finger quotes, people who won't mask up, who won't take the vaccine, who've listened to people who really ought to shut up, who espouse themselves as being experts. They probably say the same thing about me, but that's up to them. I don't see it as being. I think there will be a lot more deaths. Yes, I do, sadly.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sad about that. I am, but I think it's inevitable. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. There will always be non-believers. Yeah, I mean, even if you don't think that the masks, I mean, like the thing is that you can't just say the masks don't do anything and that the vaccines don't do anything. And that's what I'm hearing from some people where it's like they do absolutely nothing, like, and it's like, well, even on just when you think about it in a logical layman way, when you talk, you tend to spit. Okay, so if you sneeze or whatever, it tends to liquid comes out. So having at least a barrier there seems to make sense. Now, when they're talking about air saturation and such, well, then I can see the point on how masks can sort of, lack in being, if you're in a room with somebody, even if everybody is masked up and the room, even if you're 6 feet apart, the air is going to saturate with the virus eventually because it's going through the mask. So there is that side of it where you have sort of air saturation isn't going to be stopped by a mask. Neither is 6 feet apart. I'm not advocating for for 6 feet distance or whatever, but I'm just saying I see that side of where people are making that point.
Yeah, but I was reading some things on Twitter today. I mean, that there are sort of scare stories that are now being propagated in the UK along the lines of, if you've taken the virus, this virus will rewrite your mRNA. There are only so many. Each shot that you take weakens the system, will increase the prospects of your body losing its ability to fight off any infection. Everybody who's taken the shot will die. I'm sitting here thinking, this is based on what science? Right. And yet these people are being listened to and they're being believed. And do I really want to be sharing, a train or a shop or what have you with people who believe, for whom this is kind of like the core of their being now? That this belief that not only are vaccinations bad in general, but this vaccination is bad in particular because woo-woo. No.
Well,
I don't.
There are people having adverse effects, and there's people with breakthrough cases. These sort of things, and then we have, especially in America, we had our government, lie to us several times in different ways. Mask, no mask. Take the vaccine. Don't take the vaccine.
Governments lie to you. What is this nonsense you're talking about? Governments never lie to us.
Well, but you can see how people could get a little off put by you getting all these mixed messages. There are breakthrough cases. There are, people are getting sick from, and it's less than, which, thank God that they're not is fully affected by the virus as they could be. But, there's still no denying that there's adverse reactions. There's people dying. There's governments lying. People all around us telling us different things. The media telling us different things. I mean, I can see how people get a little confused on what's real, what's not, and what's safe and what's harmful. I mean, I don't know. How does that fall on your ears?
I've never had smallpox. I've never had measles. I've never had chicken. I've never had any of the disease. I've never had polio. All of the diseases which were wiped out by vaccinations, wiped out by vaccinations really from the population in the 10, 20, 30, 50 years before I was born. So do I think that generally they're a good rather than this great unknown? Yes, I do. Were these vaccinations rushed through very quickly? Well, they seemed to come through very quickly, but they were based on science, which was, 10, 15, 20 years old. So it wasn't that there was a new process behind these vaccinations. It was that they were based upon, an existing body of knowledge. Do I trust that body of knowledge? Yes, I do. Do I feel better for having been double jabbed? Yes, I do. Am I worried that I'm going to, fall over with my mRNA falling apart or leaving me over everything else? Well, if it does, well, then more fool me. But I feel better that I've had it done. I feel like I'm doing my part for the community of people, including people in my own family and close circle who can't be vaccinated because of other existing conditions. So my part of helping to reduce the number of people who can become reservoirs of the vaccine is as much to help protect them as it is anybody else. And also people that I don't know, anybody that I don't know, but with whom I might come into contact with their contacts. I've done my little bit to try and help cut down the transmission to them. I feel okay about
that. Yeah. And that's, go get vaccinated, folks. Enjoy that. Get that done. What's up, Bike Me? Well, breath that goes around the mask or straight out for the people that insist on lifting to speak. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just air goes straight through your mask. I mean, if you blow out through your mask, air is coming out, and the particles that make up the virus are definitely smaller than the little cotton fibers on your little double cotton thing that you bought at the store,
Yeah, I've just seen what Puppet Princess has put in the chat. Absolutely, I mean, we had some absolute, farcical situations where we're told to do one thing by our great leaders, but yet what they actually do themselves is completely the opposite.
Right.
And thankfully he was forced to. Well, thankfully, finally, one of the government resigned over something that any reasonable member of government would have resigned over. He did finally. He was forced out. Good on him, or good that he did.
Yeah, that's another thing, I mean, on top of like these companies who have they have no accountability. So if people are getting hurt and dying from it, there's no accountability. There's no courts involved because it's just a free run. It just today was approved by the FDA here. Pfizer's was just today approved by the FDA today. So, I mean, I see all the different back and forth and what's wrong, but the most disgusting part about it was when you did see our leaders, fucking Newsom out in California, which, he was such a joke. He was out there having dinners, making deals with movie companies. I remember seeing a video where this lady, she spent all this money to get her restaurant in outdoor dining, get it up to standards. And then LA decided to, no outdoor dining either. None. And then she literally walks around the corner and sees an entire movie production with people eating outside. And so it turned into this like really, have not situation where like, people who didn't have anything were just sort of shit out of luck. And if you had money, you could do whatever you wanted still. So there was a lot of mixed messages going to people about this whole virus, the vaccine, just how our leaders act, how the media presents the situation. I mean, like, I definitely see why people are scared and why people are questioning everything now. So, I mean, it's just a weird time, and if you're looking at it from, that tinfoil hat perspective, you can see why this company, you could see why this like Pfizer wants to push everybody into getting this because they just raised their rates on our government. They raised the rates per vaccine dosage. Why wouldn't they want us to buy as many as possible to inject people with? And I know the other side of that is like, well, they want people to fucking not die from the virus. So I don't know. I see a lot of different sides of this, and it all makes me uncomfortable. But again, I'm not trying to say anything about don't wear a mask or don't get vaccinated because, God damn it, do what you got to do. And even more importantly, don't listen to people like me about it. Go to your goddamn doctor, okay? Go to your doctor. Go and talk to somebody who knows you and knows your health history and find out if the vaccine is right for you. Sound like I just sold some medication. Robbie, my school is going back in person with everyone. I work at a private school. We are testing everyone, kids and adults, once a week if vaccinated and twice if not. Damn, that's a lot. Gnome Fire, what's up? hey, in New York, people are just being dumb and acting like it's over. Yeah, I think that's everywhere, right? Bike me. It's just terribly sad that it takes the mask and vaccine denying officials getting sick for them to change their perspective. Yeah, it is a little weird, huh? Honestly, if you remove the last 10 years at any point in history, people would have been running to get the vaccine. Yeah. Well, and also, I don't know, but the vaccine, like, again, this whole vaccine, always a good Monday. Thank you, Baba. But shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I got distracted by chat. Anyways, Kat, you want to add anything else here? I'm just sort of reading chat, going on it.
I'm watching. Basically, my main interest in what happens with COVID and infection rates and so on here is, I'm waiting to get out of this country. First weekend, well, basically the 1st of November or as soon thereafter as I can get on a train. And what I don't want to have happen is, borders to be closed to us again, or countries, blacklist us, red list us, whatever term you want to use, so that I can't get out. So that's an entirely selfish point of view. But I mean, I've had my double vaccinations. I've got my EU approved proof of or vaccination passport. And, that's a whole other hill of beans that people have set the face against, that we should not have to produce some kind of proof that we've been vaccinated. Okay, no, I want to show my proof. Let me the hell out of this place. So, take my passport, please. Hey, no fire.
What wilder? So people from East Coast started coming to Florida for business. Oh wait, Florida had the best economies throughout the pandemic, though. Yeah. Well, yeah, and here's the other thing about the United States is that even the places that didn't mask or never shut down had the same. It was about the same death rates, same infection rates. So there is a little bit of conflicting evidence on how much all the effectiveness of all this is. But we're gonna go on, and governments are gonna make their decisions the way they are, and we'll have to just either fall in line. The passport thing, as an American, I just fundamentally am against it. Like, I just think that it's just such a horribly invasive thing. I hate the fact that, like, in New York City, when you think about it like this, in New York City, right, they've sort of made it so you have to have your vaccinations to get into most places. Even the stupid fucking mayor guy on TV was like, if you want your life back, if you want old New York to come back, well, blah, 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 blah. The problem is that the majority of the people who are not vaccinated are the people are the poorest, and they're the minority peoples. And how is this going to affect them? The people who are the least vaccinated, how is this going to affect their day-to-day life? Are they going to,
were people in the US being charged for vaccine? My understanding was that
no, it's free.
Yeah. So then says why if it's true that is the section or the cohort that is least vaccinated, why is that? Why has the message that this free medical good or wonder or however you want to, why haven't they taken it up if that's the case? Where's the disconnect? Where is the
disconnect is in the amount. Oh, okay, first of all, Tuskegee.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
I can see why there's portions of the POC communities that are like, hey, we
extremely leery of being experimented on by government,
right?
By a white government, yeah.
Absolutely. And then you also have the horrible amount of misinformation that's given out by our media, governments, and medical communities. The thing is that there's misinformation everywhere. The goddamn president stammers misinformation all the time. He just said that we had 350 million vaccinated people and we're doing fine. Huh? What? What the fuck? You idiot! I voted for him. I voted for that piece of shit. But when you see all this conflicting information, you have this horrible history of being experimented on. I completely understand why people are out of sorts about this, especially Americans. We tend to be a little bit more combative about everything. So I don't know. I don't know how we would even get past this. I did see like some good ideas on how to sort of get people in get people more excited about getting vaccinated, but like by appealing to the demographic. So like you have a huge swath of Trump supporters who are QAnon, they're in, right? Nothing against Trump supporters, everybody. If you vote for Trump, whatever, that's on you. Fuck that guy. But if we had Trump, which he just did, by the way, Trump get on TV, be like, go get vaccinated. Maybe that would get people. Maybe have Charlemagne the God get on 106 in the Park and be like, yo, let's get vaccinated. Let's go. Like maybe actually put in effort to reach these demographics that are, unvaccinated. Obviously there's people that are just never going to do it and whatever, but it seems like the effort has been very much, it's been concentrated on very concentrated on like, on like maybe middle class America, you know what I mean? Mostly, if that makes sense. I don't know as an outsider if that makes sense, but it seems like it's just been marketed to white people, as I guess is what I'm saying. It seems like very little effort has been to market this drug to everyone else. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just in my own little bubble. I don't trust politicians. I do trust science. Fair enough. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I know you're like in your way with get vaccinated, stay safe. But I mean, can you see the other side? Do you see how this could be an issue especially for Americans?
For Americans, yes, definitely. But then again, I think of, as a comparison, think about places around the world, in Africa or in Asia, where they're absolutely desperate and always want to get access to medicines and vaccines and what have you, because they don't have them, and because they realize, the downside of getting something like polio or one of those, horrible diseases that can be quite easily and effectively treated. The message there doesn't have such a, they don't have to be convinced quite so much. And I wonder if we've become just a little bit too complacent in the West. We've got used to the fact that we don't have these horrible diseases that we used to have to deal with, because they've been largely vaccinated out of the population and herd immunity has been built up. And therefore there is now almost like a blasé attitude to it. Well, I'll be all right. I'm in good health. I take lots of vitamins. I pump bleach into my blood. I shine lots of ultraviolet light on me. Of course, I'm going to be fine. Isn't that how it works? Didn't I hear a president of a certain country saying that not so many months ago?
Woo!
Whoa! Snap!
Hey, golly, no, yeah. Again, fuck that guy. But I can just see it, and whether this is the wrong decision or not to not get vaccinated or to get vaccinated, we'll see, because again, this is an experimental thing.
I see. So sorry, just
please interject.
I was reading today about in California that public sector workers are now being told basically vaccinate or you're out of a job.
Yeah.
And there are like 150, I think it was, law enforcement officers in the city of San Francisco saying we don't want to get vaccinated, and basically they're being told, do it or you're going to be out of a job. Maybe that's what it takes. And I'm not saying that such a heavy-handed approach is necessary, but if you make people think about it in those kind of hard economic terms, maybe that will snap through some of the FUD and the misinformation that the QAnons and their like will quite happily spread around. Sorry for any QAnon supporters out there. Not sorry. But,
by the way, it's not just QAnon who's spreading misinformation. Again, our own president is spreading misinformation. So just so we can, I'm not trying to.
Okay. In the interest of balance.
In the interest of balance, our fucking. Oh my God, our doddering old fool of a president is doing that. You know what? The disconnect is. I'm reading this from Charizard. He said the disconnect is that even though you're vaccinated, you can still spread the virus. So in essence, governments or private industry are creating a new class of citizen. What do you think of that?
That's probably not a million miles from the truth. I mean, no, seriously. I mean, you can see the stratification taking place. Do you have excuse me? Have you had one shot? Have you had two shots? So basically, so I fall into a category now where I can go to countries because I've had double vaccinations and not have to worry about quarantining when I come back, even if those countries then go on to the so-called red list or amber list. As far as UK is concerned, the fact is I've got zero intention of coming back to the UK anyway, so I don't intend to come back. I wouldn't have to re-quarantine when I did. But yeah, there's definitely a almost like not a have and a have-nots, but have had done and have not had done and will not have done. The irony, though, is when we have mass protests here in the UK talking about, give us back our freedom, the day after they've been given their freedom back by not having to mask anymore, by not having to wear masks while they're inside shops without having to show proof of a medical exemption or something like that. I mean, what freedom is it you want? I get people complaining and demonstrating for freedom, but exactly what freedom is it that you think you don't have? I don't know.
I don't know. Being forced to be vaccinated 1 year in a category who will never feel bad symptoms from the virus is inhumane. Silence sciences that people that have caught COVID who have survived, which is the majority of people, develop a better immune system against the disease than vaccine gives. All right. Well, I don't know about that, Charizard. See, there's these different conflicting ideas as well, where like they're saying that the non-vaccinated are making the virus mutate, and then there's another side of it where it's saying that the vaccines are making it mutate, and technically this is immune therapy because we're not really killing the disease itself. We're just sort of tampering it. So it's not even really a vaccine per se, but whatever, we'll call it whatever we want. So I don't know. What do you think about that idea that maybe the vaccines are sort of contributing to the variations that we're seeing?
Well, maybe they are, but what's a bigger contributor to the variations, or to the outbreak and then the explosion in variants like the Delta variant is when governments, and I'm thinking here about the government of the United Kingdom in particular, are well aware of a new variant occurring in somewhere like India and deciding not to close down India as a destination, as a place where people can travel to freely here, because of political expediency, because our great leader, Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, decided that he really desperately wanted a trade deal with India. So he kept the travel corridors open between India and the United Kingdom for 3 or 4 weeks after having been told, no, look, they're dropping dead from this new variant out there. No, we'll do this because I must go there for my photo opportunity. Which then didn't happen because the Indian government said, no, we need to cancel this photo opportunity, by which time Delta variant was here. Now, that's not to criticize India as a nation. It was to criticize our government because they should have shut down the borders, or they should have shut down that particular travel corridor. But no, Delta variant got here, and then it was off to the races. By the time that they had decided to actually close that corridor down, it was too late. Again, too little, far too late. It's time and again, I'm more worried and I'm more concerned about the effects of incompetence like that, then I am at the thought that maybe having vaccines are forcing it down this path or that path. We're doing a bang-up job of providing an environment where these variants can take hold. Whether or not whether or not the vaccines are contributing to that. Did that make sense? I think I had a point there and I kind of went at it.
It makes enough sense. It makes enough. You're Indian, so you can say shit like that. Yeah, no. Well, that's the interesting thing, right? like because when you talk about these trade deals and stuff, is that sort of going along with what's happening with Brexit right now? And I know things sort of got just sort of.
Ooh, yes. Well, exactly. So here, so if you want to talk about break shite, sorry, I don't call it Brexit because it was just designed purely to break shite, and it has done so in a spectacular fashion. So in the interest of balance, I'm not going to give you a balanced view of Brexit because I completely and 100% disagreed with it from the word go. It should never have happened. It should never have been put to the population as a referendum because the basis on which it was put as a referendum was flawed, and I'll come back to that if you're interested. The problem we have now is that we had most favoured trading nation status with the biggest economic bloc right on our doorstep, and now we are treated as a third party. The United Kingdom is treated as a third nation by the European Union. So all of a sudden, there's a whole manner of blocks and red tape and problems with logistics and customs and basically trade of goods between the UK and Europe has effectively ground to a halt. So in the desperation to replace that, you see the government, flailing around trying to replace it with trade deals like with Australia, and they tout this marvelous new free trade deal with Australia, which accounts for 0.17% of our trade with other nations, whereas we've just willingly given away the 40% of our trade that we had with the European Union. So again, the Indian trade deal was designed to give Alexander Boris to Pfeffel Johnson a quick PR win that he could point to and say, look at this great deal. But it's a great deal for India. It's not such a great deal for the United Kingdom. But we're on we, the United Kingdom, are now on the weakest of all possible feet because we have a terribly weak hand that everybody knows it. So nobody's going to give us a terribly good deal because they know that we've got nothing to back it up with. It's like trying to win a hand of poker when you know that all you've got is a hand of absolutely duff cards, and so does everybody else. They also know that you've got no cards in your hand.
Why did what even started the whole? I mean, because I looked into it a little bit, and I know immigration had something to do with it, and just terror laws have something to do with it, and so can you kind of give us a reason why it was sort of something that even came to be?
Right. Well, this might take. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes, and I should probably set myself a timer. So here we go.
All right.
There is a difference between the reasons why people wanted to have a referendum and the reasons why the referendum even came about in the first place. So I'm going to go back a little bit in time, just a little bit. 2010, the Conservative Party became the largest party in government, but they did not have a majority. They had to go into a coalition with the Liberal Democrats in the United Kingdom. And the Conservative Party was scared that the right wing of their party were going to effectively boot out the moderates and the pro-European people, and that and would actually join forces with what was then called UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, to campaign for leaving the European Union. So, as a sop to the right wing of his own party, David Cameron said to them, if you don't do this, if you give me 5 years in coalition with the Liberal Democrats, then we will hold a referendum within a year or two of winning the next election about whether we stay in or leave the European Union. So that was why the referendum was first put on there, because David Cameron was a twat who was scared of a certain part of his own party. So that's the first part. But why are it? But if you look slightly wider than that, why were people of a rich disposition, and when I say rich, I mean very rich disposition, most keen that now was the time to get out of the EU, which we'd been in since the early 70s? And it was this: in 2015, the European Union said we are going to introduce legislation which will mean that if you have your money in offshore tax havens, they will be taxed as if they are held here in the EU. And this was like, this was the line that we cannot. That we cannot countenance for certain rich people within the United Kingdom and also certain exceedingly rich people in the United States. So they decided that they had to get us out of the EU, otherwise they'd end up having to pay tax, But the problem was that a load of millionaires and billionaires going to the British public and saying, can we please leave the EU because we don't want to pay tax, probably was never going to pass muster. Nobody would ever vote for that. So they had to appeal to people's sense of nationalism and fear of the foreigner and fear of an EU army and fear of Turkey joining and all of these lies that were then put forward as being, this is why we've got to get out of the EU. We don't want these unelected bureaucrats in Brussels making our laws. And that was the basis of the Leave EU and Vote Leave campaigns. Basically, a bunch of lies. What they needed was the population or the people who voted in the referendum to vote to leave. It didn't matter what reason they gave, they just needed them to vote to leave. But what they wanted was, having got the vote to leave, to then have a government that would take that and run with it and get out on what to them were the best possible terms, which means for people like me and 70 other million people in this country, the worst possible terms, i.e. a hard Brexit, the hardest of hard Brexits. So the referendum was never meant to be binding. It was an advisory referendum. It wasn't a huge majority. It was 52 to 48 of those who voted, and the largest and most of the largest sector of people in the referendum didn't vote in the first place. So it was a 32, 33%. 37%, I think, who actually voted in favour of leave, of those who could have voted. But more importantly, who was not allowed to vote? 16-year-olds were not allowed to vote. So youngsters at that age who were going to be impacted most by any decision to leave were not given a vote. Unlike in Scotland, where 16-year-olds were allowed to vote when they debated independence from England back in 2014, 2015. Can't remember exactly when they had their last referendum. So that was the first section of people who weren't allowed to vote, but also people who'd been out of the country for more than 15 years were not allowed to vote in the referendum, even if they still felt some firm kinship to the United Kingdom. I mean, they're living abroad, but they still felt, British.
Yeah.
But by appealing with a whole series of lies, such as Turkey's about to join the EU, we're going to be flooded with Turks. Lie. The European Union is about to launch its own army, and we're going to have to send our brave men and women to join this army. Lie. But this was the big one. This is the one that got most of the traction. Wrongly. We send £350 million a week to the European Union. Let's give it to our NHS instead. And they put this on the side of a bus. Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson and Michael Gove stood in front of this bus and said, oh, absolutely, we'll do this. And the day after the referendum result came in, said, well, that was actually a lie. We didn't mean that. We can't do that. It didn't look good. They absolutely lied and lied again, told bigger lies. And as soon as they had the result they wanted, admitted that they had lied. That's a good start, do you not think? But they got the result they wanted, and then the government that came in afterwards, because David Cameron, having said that he would stay whatever the result, this is the Prime Minister, said that he would stay whatever the result of the referendum and guide us through this, resigned the next day. Didn't get the result he wanted, resigned. Wow. We ended up with a government that said, we're going to take this advisory result, we accept it's the will of the people, and we will leave the European Union. That was not the basis on which the referendum was put to the population, but that's what they did. and then and then spent 3 years trying and failing to get a deal through Parliament, and we ended up in the situation where we had the worst of all worlds.
Wow.
Why? So that a few rich people could save money on their taxes.
Yeah.
But even more so than that, so that some of the people behind some of the worst of what's going on in America, and I'm basically from the coke suckers, or the coke sucker, thankfully one of them's dead now, and Grover Norquist and the World Economic Forum and the World Taxpayers Organization, the Institute, umpteen million right-wing libertarian think tanks have taken a look at this little island off the coast of Europe and thought, if we could segment that away from Europe, and if we could get them to drop all of their regulation for employment protection, environment protection, stuff like that, and open up to this notion of free ports or charter cities, and start our businesses there with a nice captive workforce who, basically don't have any employment protection anymore, probably don't have any food on the shelves, because we don't have a lot of food on the shelves at the moment, stuff like that. We could have a right nice time with our companies over there on the edge of Europe, but not being controlled by Europe. So if you want to know where Brexit really started, that's where it started. And that's where people will look at me and think, oh, that's a tinfoil hat you're wearing. But is it?
Right.
So I will accept, people can dig into it, and I'll quite happily provide, pointers towards the arguments and the evidence that have swayed me or moved me in that particular direction. Brexit was sold to the people as this great thing about, taking back control of our borders and stopping immigration and this and that and the other. And it was never about that. I mean, it was the single biggest lie ever foisted on this country. And now this country is going down the tubes, and it will take a generation to pull itself out of it, if it ever does.
Wow.
So does that answer your question? I did say I would go off on one if you asked me that.
No,
one.
I appreciate that, because I've never had anybody really break it down. I read some things, and I still, the biggest thing that I've heard from it, and this is coming from a music side, is that touring now for UK residents is a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so if you are a UK band, and you were used to going and touring in Europe, for example, now there is a whole raft of extra visas and customs documents in relation to your touring gear and equipment and stuff like that actually make it uneconomical to do it. But the worst part of this is that the European Union offered the UK a deal that would stop that from becoming a problem, and the UK turned it down because they did not want a situation, because they didn't want it. They didn't want a situation where Europe was seen to be the white knight, the good guys in this. So by saying no, we're not going to take that. Yeah, they've absolutely stuffed it for UK bands, and I feel enormously sorry for them. UK students, we used to be a part of an exchange scheme with European universities called the Erasmus scheme. The European Union offered to allow UK students the chance to remain in that, and the government said, no, we will start our own scheme. What they call it, the touring scheme or something, which is but a fraction of what the Erasmus scheme offered. But because it's our thing rather than their thing, that's deemed to be somehow better. It isn't. In all respects, we end up with, the worst end of a very shitty stick, and it's frustrating. It really is.
So let's say that your quote unquote tinfoil theory is what is real.
Right.
What would be the point to do this? Because wouldn't that eventually just hurt the UK to a point of, I don't know, like what would be the point to do this, and why would they want to keep taking it?
How does it play out? Is it okay? Well, let's think about this.
How does it play out? Yeah.
So now that the UK is not in the European Union, we're no longer subject to any of the regulations and the guidance that the European Union puts on us. So all of the employment protections that we used to have in place can now be junked.
Okay.
All of the environmental protections and environmental standards can be junked. Things like, whereas we had high food standards, so high, in fact, that we couldn't import things like chlorine-washed chicken from the United States or hormone-injected beef from the United States.
Awesome.
Now we can. I'm not saying that I particularly want to.
Right.
I'm saying that can now be done, and that wasn't possible before.
Oh, that's awful.
So basically, this place, this little island off the northwest coast of Europe, becomes attractive to people who want to place their businesses here, but have a workforce that doesn't have the employment protections they used to have, where you don't have to provide pensions or health insurance or stuff like that, where you can probably get away with paying them less than they used to be, because who's going to say otherwise?
Right. And what other options do you have?
Well, if you're a UK employee and you don't have the ability or the willingness to move to another country. Oh, and by the way, of course, we've also lost our rights to live and work and travel to 27 other states that we used to have. That was freedom of movement. We used to have that. We don't have that anymore. Wow. Then they're kind of stuck here in the UK. Ooh. Sorry, I was just seeing what somebody had written there in chat. Sorry, it caught my eye. So it's attractive to those, as I mentioned earlier, the libertarian thinkers and shakers who actually want to set this country up as a very cheap and deregulated place to do business. And this is not the only country in the world where this is being considered. It's already taking place in Honduras. Look into a city called Roatan. But they'll do it. They're going to try to do it here. A better way to actually force and a way to enforce, should we say, not loyalty, but in fact, compliance on the part of the UK workforce is to gradually reduce the value of that workforce's ability to say no. So, for example, if there were to be reducing protections on pension funds, for example. So look at there is legislation being passed that will allow firms to do sneakier things with the pension funds that they hold for the people who've worked for them for a number of years. If you put somebody in their 50s and 60s into a situation where they can no longer depend upon their pension funds, they may have to go back to work and they may have to take any job that's available to them. And if they're all jobs without employment protection or health insurance or even a statutory right to holiday, poor and hungry people are going to have to do what they have to do. And a poor and hungry people is what's coming. Yeah. We already don't have enough food on the shelves. We've got a huge lack of. We don't have the people on the farms to pick the produce out of the ground to send to the shops. We don't have the lorry drivers to get stuff from the farms to the factories. Even if we had the people to pick them, everywhere you look, somebody will say, "We'll have the army. We'll have the army drive the lorries, or we'll have the army do this, or we'll have the army do that." We don't have a huge army either. I don't know how these army people are going to do all the things that they could put up for, because they'll each be doing 5 or 6 jobs, right. Just to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Calm down, Kat.
No, it's infuriating, and like there was some. I feel like in 2008, when the financial collapse happened here in the United States, something similar happened to, especially in the area where I live in the United States, which was historically known for, the Industrial Revolution, Detroit, this whole area, the Midwest area, steel. That was completely gutted. And when that financial crisis went down, all these companies, all like Ford and GM, they all decided that everybody's losing their pensions and everyone's getting a pay cut. You had people working there their whole lives who were depending on those pensions. And now getting a job there, I can't speak too much out of this, but getting a job there now was nothing like it was getting a job at a factory back in the day. You could actually own a house and 2 cars and do a whole thing. Like people who worked at the factory could live a true middle class life.
Absolutely.
And sort of what happened is that it all sort of got gutted, and exactly what you're saying, where it's like, they fortunately they didn't take away standards and health standards and stuff like that, but they did take away pensions, and they did cut people's livelihood down to nothing, and now when you get a job there, your people are really happy to have it, but it's not like it was. And going forward, I could see maybe another financial crisis absolutely taking things out, or AI or whatever. But
Well, funny you should say that. I mean, we had same time, 2008. There were a number of banks that got into severe difficulties over here. A couple were let fold. Others were saved by the government, and the government then took a part ownership in them, and as indeed was right and fair. This time around, I mean, one of the predictions that I made to those of my friends who would listen was that I fully expected that within 1 quarter of us leaving the EU, there would be one bank failure, and within 2 quarters there would be a second, and that would then lead to run the banks. Now, I would say that because any of my friends who might happen to listen to this, or listen to the podcast, or watch it on YouTube afterwards, will say, "Hey, Kat, what about that time you said that?" Well, yes, I made those predictions. They haven't come true yet, but I think that's only a matter of timing rather than the fact that they won't happen. And at that point, the shock that this time around, this government particularly will not look to save those banks, will not look to save the deposits of those people. So, for that reason, I took the steps of moving my money out of UK, the money that I had out of UK banks, and putting it outside the scope of that shock.
Wow.
So that if it happened, I couldn't protect everybody else, but at least make damn sure I wasn't going to lose, what I did have from those activities, from those events. And I tried to convince the people around me that they might want to think about doing the same. They didn't have to do it, and they didn't necessarily have to do it the same way that I did it, but that they should at least think about the possibility. What if you go to the bank in the morning and you can't get your money out? And there was quite prescient BBC drama series called Years and Years. I don't know whether I know it was shown on the States, but which actually showed that kind of thing, and it kind of mapped out over the next 10 years what could happen. And one of the things that happened was a large run and collapse of banks, and then suddenly everybody's stuck in being in the gig economy and having 5 or 6 jobs, just trying to scrape a living and put some food on the table. Sorry, I'm too old to do that. I haven't got the energy to cycle a bike around all day.
No, I feel you. No, it's almost like they're trying to create another environment where they can just sort of pay the least amount of money to get the most profit, which is the whole basis of capitalism, kind of, right? It's like, you want to make the most with the littlest amount of input. And I'm not trying to be crude or anything, but it's looking like they want to sort of create more places like China where they can just ship this is what happened here in the United States. Like we shipped a lot of our manufacturing over to China, and when the pandemic hit, we didn't have cotton, we didn't have medications, and even when now with the pretty widely accepted lab leak, that whole situation came from America too, where we couldn't do those experiments here, and we couldn't fund this kind of research here because of our regulations. So why don't we just ship it over to China, where we can just do whatever we want, because why not? We'll just shit all over those people. And so it almost feels like they're trying to sort of make that into the elusive they. It seems like it's like the powers that be are trying to exploit its workforce to the fullest potential. Would you agree with that, or
I would. Pretty much. I think you got it word for word. I'm just looking at something that it's me, Calvo said. Yeah. I always heard that Brexit was originated because the UK wanted to be great again. Paraphrase. Well, here's the thing. That's how it was. That's how the Vote Leave campaign dressed up this referendum to the population to try to get enough of them to vote for it. But that's how it was sold. But it was never about that. Remember, the point of Brexit, from the point of view of the people who funded those campaigns, was to remove the UK from the purview of the EU in relation to this horrible tax legislation, horrible in their eyes, tax legislation that the EU proposed to bring in. And from the purview, from the perspective of the extreme right wing from the United States, the coke suckers and the Steve Bannons and the same people who bankrolled your former guy were also had a very large hand in bankrolling all the shit going on over here. So really, to say that there are parallels, another slogan from a carrot-coloured person in the US from those years, to say that there are parallels is absolutely, it holds water, it bears examination. Yes, there are. The same hands, we were jerking on the same strings.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's so weird about it when people are saying, tinfoil hat, accusing people of being tinfoil hat. What are you talking about? It's like, over these past few years, there just seems to be like this trust in government. And I know there's a lot of mistrust, but it seems like, or not government, I would say trust in corporate interests and corporate, like this idea that Wall Street backs Joe Biden. So yay, when did this shift come to where we believe and we think that these corporations are somewhat of a benevolent force of nature, like they really do have our best interests at heart? And I don't know where that comes from. Obviously good marketing, I guess, but I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this in general, but it just seems like it does seem like, if you look at it, from a zoomed out position, that they're trying to sort of force us into this sort of slave-like way of living, where it's like where they have to put fucking nets around the buildings so we're not jumping to our doom, because all we do is work and exist in these near slave environments. So like I don't know, like it just seems to be it seems like a dark way to think about things, but when you look at it like that, it does seem to be the direction we are headed.
Indeed. And unfortunately, I mean, as an individual, you look at the situation. So myself, look at the situation and think, well, what can I do to affect change here? And the reality is very, very little that I can do. We tried to, myself and people who thought similarly, tried to stop this from happening in the first place. But the moment that the EU referendum went the way that it did, and then the moment that the 2019 general election went the way that it did, our hands were effectively tied. Which is why I no longer see any point whatsoever in staying here. I mean, to be fair, I wanted to leave, or I wanted to go back to Berlin, where I used to live, long before now. But other issues got in the way and stopped me from doing that. I fell quite ill, and I wasn't in a position to go back. I mean, I'm over that now, but unfortunately, the time has now moved on, and I can't now go back to live there in the way that I used to. But having said that, I look at, do I want to stay here long term? And I really don't. I really, really don't. This country is absolutely going down the tubes. And sadly, I think it will be at least a generation before it can pull itself back together. We are so deeply fractured between those who cannot admit that Brexit was a bad idea, who are so sold on this notion of, taking back control of our borders and getting back our blue passports, which we could always have had anyway. And, all of the jingoistic, nationalistic, populist rhetoric that they were G'd up with by the by the Leave campaign. And people like me who are so convinced that it was a bad deal, and the evidence of our eyes pretty much every day reinforces that it was, the worst thing that could happen. That is a huge. It's a divide that's probably on a par between the divide between the kind of like the progressive and the small c conservative side in the United States. The kind of issues that you guys deal with over here, we deal with in the same way over here, and it's very polarized. I don't see it changing, and I don't see that coming back. Within a generation, if then.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't want to be around to see it. I don't want to be here to see it, and I certainly don't want to be here and having to queue up for no food on those shops and surrounded by people who, surrounded in an environment where people are being forced into that kind of, near indentured servitude of a job because their previous job protections are all gone.
Yeah. And
to say, and here's the thing, I mean, people say, well, just because these regulations have been taken away doesn't mean companies are going to do it. Wrong. Companies are already firing their employees to rehire them on the worst terms because now they can.
Right.
Unsurprisingly, not everybody's happy about this, and some people, when fired in these ways, don't then re-sign. But that's a cost of doing business to these, to the companies. Fine. So some people don't come back. We'll find others. Yeah. That's kind of how they think about it.
Yeah. The way that corporations just sort of weigh like people's lives or environmental damage is like, well, if we dump this sewage or this toxic waste into the ocean, we're gonna get fined $2 million, but by dumping this into the ocean and not getting rid of it properly, we would have saved
so much more. So let's take the fine.
$50 million. It's like, what are you gonna do? It's like, fuck it. $2 million.
It's already happening here. You've got water companies are actually just dumping raw sewage out into the sea around the coasts. Why? Because they'll take the fine because that's less expensive to them than the actual cost of treating the waste in the first place. It's disgusting.
Yeah. When it comes to just like lives over dollars over lives is just the everyday way of life in those people's minds, and it's like, how do you even get to that point as a human being? But I guess it's it's a lifetime of what is that called? You're being taught that, I guess, or grooming. It's a lifetime of grooming to take.
Here's the interesting thing. You could not all of them, but I would say 75% of the people who are now the loudest supporters of Brexit in the UK government were actually on the side of remaining up to 2015. Some of them, including Alexander Boris de Pfeffel-Johnson, our most esteemed Prime Minister. Up to 2015, he was as pro-EU as they came. And something happened between 2015. It was either offered a load of money or some compromising material was found or taken. 2016, there he is leading the charge for Leave. And most of the members of his current cabinet, who are now absolutely ardently pro-Brexit, were not. They campaigned against Brexit to start off with, but have, should we say, seen the light or have been made to see the light. I don't know. I smell a big fish in relation to that one.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit, man. I can't. It is the worst. It is the worst. Reina wanted to know if you thought that Texas or California would pull a Brexit. And I don't know. I mean,
it's been talked. Both of them have been talked about in the past. Yeah. I mean, how many times was it Calexit? I mean, I've heard the phrase for there, but and equally, Texas asserting its right to independence. I don't know. I mean, you can only imagine that seeing that a so-called popular vote gave permission to that within the UK would embolden those who want to see that for Texas or California.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Texas and California doing it. I mean, I could see large chunks of the United States just breaking off, like like Northeast, like the whole New England side, and then the South, Georgia and Mississippi. You gotta take Alabama and Arkansas though, and if Florida's down there, if fucking and then Texas would be its own thing, and Midwest would be its own thing. So I mean, I could definitely see. I mean, the way we are so polarized in this country, it would not surprise me at all. And it is interesting when you go to these different states, you really do feel like you're in different countries. Like it is like you go to Texas, you don't feel like you're in the South America, South American South. You feel like
Yeah.
you're in Texas, and I happen to like Texas. A lot of my family lives there or comes from the area besides Mexico, but like they sort of were in Texas. So I love Texas. It's a cool place to me, but I know that there's some weird people there. Same way in California. I love California, but it's some weird people there too. Yeah, small groups were able to get the masses to vote for policies that were only beneficial to those groups. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I wish that politicians would zoom out and see how their decisions can impact the world more than just focusing on getting reelected and passing what they want. Yeah. Well, I don't know how to change that. What would incentivize politicians to actually work for the good of people rather than the good of themselves? I guess taking money out of it, not allowing all these what do you call them? The assholes that go and you pay them to go and tell politicians how to vote.
Lobbyists and
Lobbyists, yeah,
PACs and
PACs and all that stuff. Yeah, I
the
mean,
dark money.
very very dark money. Yeah, I mean maybe starting there, getting money out of politics would probably help that. But how do you do that? Capitalism sees nature as a free resource until it all runs out. What was Papa Sweet saying? Carrot color. Do we have orange folks running around? We do. We do. He who shall not be ashamed. Yeah, the scourge of the South. Persona pumpkin. Punchable pumpkin. You're trying, Papa. You're trying to come.
See, that's not the association I want to have with the word pumpkins. I want to think of pumpkins as being, a nice, happy children's song.
Grammy award-winning.
Grammy-winning, absolutely. So
yeah, we don't want to associate pumpkins with the
no,
other.
we don't.
The other. Yeah, I was just speaking about how, people sort of change their mind or have special interests at heart. I was reading a little bit on how the CIA sort of helped the drug trade in Afghanistan, and how like what's his name? Karzai's brother, Karzai was instated as the prime minister or whatever they have over there, and his brother was a drug lord out there. He was Scarface, who was running the heroin trade. And so, like back in the day, you saw soldiers just sort of standing around guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. It just seems like there's always some sort of ulterior motive to these situations, and I mean money. I don't know. Like, what do you think about where we're at with Afghanistan? Oh, hold on. Let's do this because this has been in the queue for a while. We're gonna talk about Afghanistan, but Papa asked had a question, and I have sort of been I forgot. So, how do you feel about the exporting of American culture? Do you enjoy it? Do you feel it causes problems? Ooh, Papa, big Papa.
I guess in American culture, so here we're probably talking about English language culture. So we share. So in that respect, we share. The language in common. Mm-hmm. So if you were to ask this, for example, to somebody from France or Germany, where they feel their own native language culture being kind of like swamped by not just culture from by culture from the United Kingdom, but also from the United States as well, you probably get a different answer. Do I think it's a bad thing? Personally, no, I don't. At the end of the day, I'm a huge fan of a whole bunch of things, TV series, films, music, what have you, that comes across from the States. But because we have that main language in common, then it's not like I feel that my nation's culture is being swamped by it. I mean, I think that what we produce here in the United Kingdom stands up and can kind of like punch its own weight with what comes in from the United States. So no, I don't personally, and I don't speak for the United Kingdom, but I don't get a sense that we feel that we're being kind of like drowned by it. Does that answer the question?
Kind of. I think he asked how you felt about exporting of American culture, and then do you enjoy it?
Well, personally, I do. Yes, I mean not all of it, but then again, I don't enjoy all of this country's culture as well. I mean, I pick and choose. I'm a discerning kind of person, but yeah. Generally speaking, I feel like I should probably have a more contrarian or strident answer, given the tone of some of my other answers here. But actually, on this one, I don't.
Do you feel like it causes any problems? Especially, I guess even more so, American culture, even in the entertainment and just our attitude and stuff. Do you feel like it causes?
I mean, it influences, but I don't think it kind of like overwrites. I mean, we have very definite. So, for example, within UK music, I mean, there are very definite strands of UK music that are specific to this country, and they're probably inspired by rap and hip hop, but are the grime and the urban scenes here are very much their own thing, and they don't take no prisoners, and then probably don't feel threatened by what's coming over the latest or greatest from the United States. They're doing their own thing. So I don't think, personally, I don't think it's it's not like something that's swamping creativity that's here and wouldn't otherwise get a look in. I mean, I have plenty of friends from the United States who the first thing they'll say is, what's good, what's coming out the UK, what are the new drama series, what are the new things we should be looking out for on Netflix or Amazon that have been coming from the UK, so I can give them sometimes a kind of like a 3 or a 6 month head start. You want to be looking out for this, you want to be looking out for that, and vice versa. They'll let me know.
Yeah. There's one thing that I've sort of been going over in my own head about the influence of America is like. America is like, America is not the most popular country in the world right now, especially coming off of 4 years of whatever that fucking garbage fire was. But what is interesting is that people are so quick to shit on America, but then, have their entertainment, have the culture, be huge fans of the culture. And then you don't have to be, you can love a culture and not like the government and what the government stands for. But I do have to give in defense of America. We fucking are the shit when it comes to the entertainment industry. We fucking murder. People want to be like us. People, they try to copy us. So just for America, we're number one. The one thing we're not number one in education or even in their internet speed, but god damn it, our entertainment is fucking par none, son.
You got it. I'll give you that one.
Thank you. Anyways, I did want to talk about Afghanistan a little bit just because of what's going on out there and
well, let me ask you a question.
Please.
Because I mean, I don't know how it's being portrayed on screen, on news, on newspapers over your way, but I mean, the images over here have been shocking and horrifying, it's and shocking. Quite, absolute images of mothers passing their babies, their children up over barbed wire fences to save them, even if they can't be saved, even if they personally can't be saved. Now, here's the thing: when was the first time that people in the United States first paid attention to Afghanistan? Would be my question. And I would guess, but I'll let you answer if you want to have a go.
No, I thought you were asking a question, but if
it was a rhetorical question.
Please, you answer.
No, go for it.
I would say probably more in the later 90s when Osama bin Laden started doing his terror campaigns, and then obviously 9/11.
Yeah. So me being a little bit older, the first time that I became aware of it was in '79 when the Russians invaded, because then we had in 1980 the Moscow Olympics, and then there was a boycott by America and other nations because of Russia's invasion. And in the case of the UK, we went to the Moscow Olympics, but we competed under the International Olympic Commission flag rather than under the Union flag. We didn't have God Save the Queen played on any of the medal ceremonies. So that was the kind of the visible demonstration that took place. But that was probably, I guess, when most of the Western world paid attention. But when was the first time that the United Kingdom, stuck its oar into Afghanistan? At least 100 years earlier, when England was out, conquering or trying to plunder half the world, literally, and take its resources, and in the hundreds of years prior to that, take its human resources as well. So there is a lot of historical blood on the hands of the United Kingdom in terms of a lot of countries, and in relation to Afghanistan, no less. We meddled in that country for the last 150 years, and it's never turned out well. The thing that so how can we as a nation put right all of that historical meddling? And the short answer is we probably can't. But what we can do is stand by the commitments that we made when we went out there as part of the post 9/11, post Osama bin Laden forces, and spent our time out in Helmand and otherwhere, and worked with Afghani personnel who were attached to our army units as, for example, translators, and made commitments to those people that we would look after them once their term of engagement, or once, if the UK's involvement in Afghanistan ever came to an end. And what's happening now? Almost immediately the decision was made to pull out of Afghanistan. Then the Home Secretary in the United Kingdom, pretty awful Patel, started reneging on the commitments that have been made. You've got Afghan students who are due to come to United Kingdom universities suddenly being told that their visas are being, held up. And I'm like, dude, why now? Of all the times when we should be making it easier for these people to get over here, because we said that we would make it easier for them to come over here, we're actually putting extra roadblocks in their way, while the Taliban are rolling in and killing anybody they don't like the look of. So the absolute fury that I feel once more towards the government of this supposedly great nation is that we make these agreements and then just absolutely tear them up and forget about them because they're inconvenient. Yeah. And it disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I mean, that's, America the same. I mean, we have our whole history of just, we're not going to do that anymore. I mean, the natives here, got a good taste of that. Is how we would give them some land, and then we'd find out there's resources on it. We're like, no, wait.
Take that land, but you can have that land over there.
You go over there now.
Less of it. Yeah.
And so there is sort of this tradition of just sort of, just doing whatever we want, and just, whoever suffers the consequences, well, that's on them. And then
you have sacred land. No, we want to put a pipeline through it. So let's just, move aside.
Can you move the sacred land over a few feet? That would be really, really convenient. with them pulling out right now, and which I'm all in favor of pulling out, because I don't like I don't like war, and this thing has gone on for 20 years, and it was I mean, I know you just laid out way longer than 20 years, but supposedly, but we've been sort of fighting this war on terrorism, and it's just been this ongoing. It just feels like it's more of a money pit for it just feels like it's a money grab more than anything. It just felt like, the powers that be, the people who are supplying these weapons, and they're just like, let's keep this ship rolling. But it does seem like this pullout is so strange in the way that it just, any kind of promises or anything like that we made, we're just leaving. People are just getting left behind. The people who are helping us were getting left behind, and something is not ringing right in my ears. And I'm very much into ending wars, and but something doesn't seem right in this, and I'm not sure what it is. It just, I don't see Biden as some sort of anti-war guy, especially because he's the way he's voted his entire career. So I'm not sure on what the bigger picture is here, but there definitely does seem to be something wrong with this picture.
Well, I think it would bear. There are agreements that were allegedly drawn up between the United States and higher up people within the Taliban under a previous administration that probably bear looking at. The former guy, the predecessor to Mr. Biden. So that's probably one area of investigation that you should look at. But my eye was caught there by vile but sober. Yeah, well, I mean, India is never a perfectly defined country in terms of territory. Afghanistan was identified as one part of India. Borders only became defined when the British came. Well, so another example. So there was a geographical area, and what was the British solution to that? Well, let's partition. So we'll partition between Pakistan in the west and India in the middle, and eastern Pakistan, or what became known as Bangladesh, in the east. And didn't that work out nicely in terms of just leading to a few million people dying in ethnic violence? And likewise, in the area that became known as Afghanistan, or the Afghan territories back in the 1800s. We've just gone around the world. England, went around the world and just carved up and left chaos and death and destruction in our wake. And where is the paying back for that? It's almost like so what is England's original sin? Well, is it Ireland? No, it goes back earlier than that. We have so many original sins of places that we've absolutely screwed up around the world. And I would be one of the people, and I am one of the people who would say there has to come a reckoning for that. And whether that be in the form of reparations, or whether that be in the form of, we're about to go down the tubes, or are going down the tubes in terms of this nation's international reputation. And that's probably a bit of karma, long overdue karma, coming home to roost.
Well, that certainly
which is probably not an answer. To the question that you were making about Afghanistan. But as I was saying, my feeling about Afghanistan is, we've got some deep historical debts to pay back there, and even if we don't, we should bloody well stand by the agreements that we made to people in the last 20 years or so to look after those who agreed to help us.
Yeah. That's my thing. It's like, if we're gonna pull out, let's pull out the people who are on our side, and let's figure some shit out. Like, because whether this war was right or wrong, there was people involved, and there was people who helped us, and there was people who like put their lives on the line in hopes for something better, and in the end, it didn't turn out that way. And we should, at least at this point, at this juncture, give back and help these people out. Trump administration made unilateral agreement with Taliban, concluding in May 1st, pull out, Afghanistan government not included, and didn't agree. yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff too. Like we spend all this time training their armies and stuff, and nation build, quote unquote nation build, and yet, these folks put their weapons down immediately. They didn't fight. There was no gun. I don't think there was any shots fired, but I could be totally wrong. And the Taliban just has been just marching in and taking over. I don't, I don't understand. I'm not sure what we were doing over there for the last 20 years if this is how it concludes. And I don't know. Do you know, Kat? I mean, besides extracting resources, which Afghanistan do they have a lot of resources? Do they have like deposits of like
Well, they grow some very attractive plants, I understand, that can be turned
poppies.
into
Yeah,
that
but
can be
that's
turned.
right. Well, yeah, and now they have, what is it? Was it 80 to 90% of the world's opiate trade is coming from Afghanistan now. So yeah, Hindu Kush can't do anything about it. So that is a weird thing. It just seems like how we left all the equipment over there. It just seems like we're trying to come back or something. Like we're setting this up so we can come back and do it again. I don't know. Would you agree with that? Or am I just talking? I feel like I'm just.
Well, here's the thing: there isn't any. I believe in history, no nation has gone into either what is now known as Afghanistan or that area in history and ever come out with anything but a bloody nose.
Yeah.
The rationale or the justification for going in this time, in that it was the hiding place of Osama bin Laden and his associates. Has that job? I mean, is the perception or the consensus that job is done? It doesn't feel like it. I mean, the Taliban are still there, and they work to an extent his colleagues in his endeavours. But the fact remains that it's beyond the power. It seems to be beyond even any of the major powers to go in there and effect or facilitate any long-lasting change. I think that is terrible for the people in Afghanistan who are not Taliban supporters, of which there are many, but the Taliban are too strong for them, and all the time that UK and US were there, they were just biding their time. UK and US say they're moving out. Taliban says it's our time again now. So do I know what the answer is? No, I don't. But I do know that we have a commitment and we have obligations to some of the people there. We can't save all of them, sadly. I guess my sad feel is that probably some of those who are left behind are more fucked up because we went in there in the first place than if we'd stayed out, at all. But I don't know. I want to believe that all of that time and all of the lives lost and all of the servicemen lost both on the UK and the US side and any of the other coalition forces in there were not completely in vain. But it does kind of feel like they're just being, that their sacrifices are just being, well, it's our time to go now, so stuff it. They died, so what? Yeah. Certainly that seems to be the attitude of the UK government, and it's just one more reason for me to feel thoroughly disgusted about them.
Yeah, and the other fun part about this is that the USA has funded the Taliban, and now we're supposed to be angry at them again, and let's look at our friend Hillary. I'm just interested. I want to see, because I know there's some confessions by Hillary Clinton.
We also have a history of kind of moving in and out of Pakistan. I mean, let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And we did it because we were locked in this struggle with the Soviet Union. They invaded Afghanistan, and we did not want to see them control Central Asia, and we went to work. And it was President Reagan, in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated. They lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. So there's a very strong argument, which is, wasn't a bad investment to end the Soviet Union, but let's be careful what we sow because we will harvest. So we then left Pakistan. We said, okay, fine, you deal with the stingers that we've left all over your country. You deal with the mines that are along the border. And by the way, we don't want to have anything to do with you. In fact, we're sanctioning you. So we stopped dealing with the Pakistani military and with ISI, and we now are making up for a lot of lost time.
Well, there you go. I couldn't have said it better myself. Billery. Yeah, so there's that fun thing. I know Cartagena has something to say about this. So let's read what Cartagena's got. January 15th, only 2,500 troops left. The only thing that changed in Afghanistan is that the Taliban officially came out as controlling the country. Military never had an exit plan, and it was the main concern from the beginning. Afghanistan turned into cash cow and minor proxy war. Right. We accomplished all military objectives and scheduled a pullout. If the Afghanistan government and people won't fight the Taliban, and then it's not our problem.
Okay, well, I can't answer for the Afghan people, the Afghani people, but I can absolutely point a finger or two once again at the UK side here. Where was our foreign secretary while the horror show at at Kabul airport going down? It was on a beach in Crete, enjoying himself on holiday, while other people around were saying we need to be doing, we need to be taking a lead, we need to be taking a stand on this. He was busy, having his holiday and didn't want to come back early. Eventually, the UK government were recalled and sat in Parliament. I think it was on Wednesday, and spent all day talking about this, achieving the square root of nothing. But at least they were all forced to come and admit to the fact that that there was a problem, and our brave service folk at the airport were left dealing with this particular problem, and the consuls and the consul general there was saying that we will not leave the country until we have processed all of the exit visas that we can for those people who are entitled to them to come here. So while the government wasn't taking a stand, the people on the ground were doing what was necessary. So while I say I have nothing but praise and admiration for the efforts of them, the fact is that they were left absolutely high and dry by the Foreign Secretary and his department in London. Why is that?
Yeah.
If he had any honour, which sadly appears to be a thing desperately lacking in our government these days, he would resign. But no, he's squirming and trying to cover his arse now with a flurry of ongoing tweets about all the things he's doing, the things he should be doing anyway,
Today I signed some stuff.
Yes, precisely. Today I made a phone call to my colleague, to my counterparts in the United States, and we agreed we need to have a serious talk about this. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
We've come to an agreement that we should talk about this in the future, maybe. Yeah, weird times to be alive. The fact that the Taliban now possesses U.S. military vehicles is dangerous. I guess, man. I'm pretty. That's what I was saying. Is like, why would we just hastily leave all this stuff behind? And I'm thinking from the tinfoil hat guy, because I can live there sometimes. But I just see it as just sort of a setup for the next time, because it just seems like Afghanistan has become sort of this punching bag where we can just, a very few amount of people can make a lot of money Over years and years and years. I mean, look at this 20-year thing that just happened with the United States, and now we're finally pulling out. Yeah, I don't know. It
Well,
does seem
follow
a
the
little
money.
bit.
See which private organisations or contractors made money out of the 20-year involvement of the forces over there. That would be a good place to start. And it's worth also pointing that, once again, historical precedent. I mean, the shots that I saw on Monday or Tuesday of the helicopter taking off from the embassy, and I'm thinking about the same shots from '75 in Saigon, when helicopters were taking off from the US embassy in Saigon. What happened to all of the equipment and the material, the military equipment that was left behind in Vietnam when the final withdrawal was made? Well, I think it ended up at the time leaving Vietnam as having the fourth largest air force in the world. Thanks to all of these plane jets and what have you that had been left behind, because they could not be removed in time. So I think the Vietnamese were very happy about that. Thanks for leaving us all the gear, guys.
I'm sure the Taliban is having a victory dance for that one. And yeah,
well, yeah.
I mean, if we just look at this simple Google search, fucking Fox News, but yeah, Vice President Dick Cheney, former President Dick Cheney of Halliburton, as vice president, awarded a $600 million military contract to Halliburton. So, this is the kind of grossness that has become like the war machine. Is like, now our politicians are coming from these companies directly and just giving these contracts right out to their friends. I mean, this is where it all started. This is where it all fucking started for this version of the war. Fucking Dick Cheney and George W. My God. I saw some controversy about military dogs getting seats on the emergency flights out of Afghanistan. One side says human lives matter more. Other side says it's highly trained military dog and the army doesn't leave troop members behind. Thoughts? I'm going to say, if it's between a fucking military dog and a baby, bye, dog. Fuck you. Thank you for your service. Bye. No offense to the dog. I love animals, but I'm not going to... If a little baby who's screaming and a mother who's crying to get their baby out of a war-torn country, I would say, fucking eat this dog. I'm taking your baby. Let's go.
Okay, well, I'm going to say, why not both? As the meme would have it, if we've got more people to get out, send more flights.
Well, that too. But if it did come down to it, Cathesaurus, where's your heart lie?
Why you treat me like that? Why you put me on the line like that? I'm a dog lover.
I know.
I'm a people lover as well.
Yeah, look, I love dogs as well. I had a dog. My last dog I had commissioned to have it painted. Okay, it's hanging on our wall. Okay,
the painting of the dog.
No, not the dog. Although it would have been cute to have her stuffed. I think Reina did suggest having her stuffed, but I think that would just been morbid. It would have been awful. I couldn't handle that. Every day I'd just be crying. Just like having grandma fucking stuffed. It's like, no, thank you. Calvo, what did you say? But it's the same old song and dance. The U.S. having an obsession, mania against communist-leaning countries. The same thing happened with giving support to Pinochet in Chile, for example. Not too familiar with that. I'm so bleh. Vietnam and this Afghanistan withdrawal are not the same. This was a scheduled withdrawal. There you go. This was scheduled, so it's not the same. On military flights, you can hang out anywhere on the plane. Plenty of space for a dog and a person. That's definitely not true. Thank you, Carter. It's a tricky one, but I do think that human lives matter more. The dog can sit on someone's lap. Yeah, fair enough. But Cathesaurus, which would you choose if you had to? A crying baby from a war-torn country looking for a better life, or a highly trained military animal? Dog.
Gotta go with the baby. Sorry.
Yeah, it's sorry.
No, I mean, I get it. And I'm going to catch it in the neck from some of my dog-loving friends, and I'll just have to take that one. I'll have to take that one.
I don't see how this is a hard decision, though, people. I don't know how this is hard for you guys. I suggested rug, not stuff. Oh, my bad. That's not much better right now. I'm just gonna say that's not much better. But I'm happy with our painting. Yes, me too. It was the right move. I agree. Anyone watch the JFK movie? Like the old one from 1990, from the 90s, or like did they make a new one? So that's funny. The guilt leaving that dog's gonna kill me. Well, you'll have to.
Okay, well there we go. I'll take the air refueling.
You'll have to take that to the grave with you, while but sober. You can hang out with the baby in the air refueling bay. Dog can have the seat. Okay. Well, you know what though, Cartagena, this was not that kind of answer. This was a either or. Okay, and where do you sit, Cartagena? I feel like that you would choose the dog. Is that right? What are you, some kind of dog lover? Are you some kind of animal lover? You want to have one as your own pet? Have it live with you in your house? Those military dogs can stay and fight the Taliban. I agree. Like, go fight for our freedom. Rover, I'll keep the dog on my lap. You know what, but sober. That's not how this goes. That is not how this goes. Oh yeah, the Kevin Costner one. Yeah, I seen it. It's cool, but they like make shit up in that movie. Like they make up a whole character. The general. That general never existed. Kiefer Sutherland's character never existed. They just needed some sort of device for the movie to move along. So I don't care for those types of things. I got 5 kids. I can juggle the baby and dog in a seat. You know what, Cartagena? That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. And you're trying to do a Cathesaurus on me and get out of answering. Gotta run. My work day is over. Thanks for the fun stream. Robbie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot here, Cathesaurus. I feel like we've done the Lord's work here. We've done it. But I have been having an issue lately. I don't know if you've been hearing it throughout. Like there's some noise issue. Like, can you hear that?
Hear that?
Yeah. What is that?
What? I don't know.
Well, let me tell you. It means it's time for how much does it cost on Craigslist? Yeah! Hey, all right, guys.
You knew I wanted to play this.
We're gonna play. Give us a quick second so we can get a potty break and get me set up, and we will BRB with how much does it cost on Craigslist, where we'll get a chance to win some stickers. I got my patch somewhere. I can't find it. Damn it. I'm going to make a whole prize pack because we haven't done this in such a long time. So I'm going to make a whole prize pack that's going to include a Mr. Fizzy sticker. Sorry, Reina. And a fully embroidered patch of the We Speak English Good. And we're going to have some stickers involved as well. So stick around for that. We're going to be playing that just coming up here shortly. Moving Dutchman. Yeah, baby. All right, guys. Enjoy these things while I do stuff. Kat, if you need to use the restroom or whatever, this is your time to shine and enjoy this stuff where is it? There it is. All right, enjoy these if it works. Who knows? Hey guys, today I'm gonna be building an electro funk beat. Oh, hold on, let me do my hair. That vintage shit. Conglomeration right there. Sounds good to me. All right. I forgot. I need to remove this from the stupid thing. All right, guys. You know what time it is. It's time for games, baby. Hold on. Boom, 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 bah. Yeah, this is the new game theme song, guys. This is actually the old theme song. That theme song is actually the old theme song. Oh, we'll bring the alerts back. Thank you, your favorite today, for that. Woo. So here we go, guys. This is totally using that pedal board idea. Oh, well, go ahead. That's just the one thing about that pedal board thing that you might not be able to see is that before taping any adhesive to your pedals itself, your adhesive and your Velcro or your locks, your Velcro locks or whatever you call them. Jesus Christ. I'm using rubbing alcohol to wipe down any oils or anything that might be on the pedal that will get in the way of having a nice firm seal for the stick. So that is just one thing I want to throw in there that might not be too apparent. And if you're going to use that idea, that's one thing that I did that really helps to keep your pedal stuck to the stupid thing for longer. Also, when you're trying to sell your pedal and you got to get that goo off, rubbing alcohol helps with that as well. Wax on, wax. Wax on, wax off. But no, it's alcohol. Exactly. So, the name of the game is How Much Does It Cost on Craigslist? We're going to be playing for a prize pack today, folks. So, we're going to be doing the Woo stickers. Oh, I didn't... Hold on. Oh, jeez Louise. Did that ruin my background? No. Okay, good. All right, let me dig in here. So I'm going to actually cut these out so they won't come like this. But we have We Speak English Good patches, as you can see right next to the actual... you can see it right next to the logo in the lower right-hand corner. This is what it's supposed to look like. So we'll be winning a fully embroidered patch that I have to cut out myself because my sponsor, he was like, here's your patches, get the fuck away from me. So I was very appreciative because, I mean, at least it got done. Here's the thing. I ordered these last year and I got them like a couple months ago. So, whatever. So we're going to be... giving away the prize pack. We got the patches, we got the stickers, and Reina will maybe let us send some Mr. Fizzy stickers. So it'll be a whole prize pack and there'll be some surprises. And I think I got a cool surprise I'm going to add to it. So there's going to be an extra secret surprise just for whoever wins these prizes. So let's go. The name of the game is How Much Does It Cost on Craigslist? Brought to you by our sponsor, Molded Studios. By the way, if you go to modedstudios.com and you order through the website, there will be no delay in your orders. It's just that we're friends and it's the sponsorship thing. Just know that they're a fine company that will get your items out as quick as you order them. So I'm realizing I'm such a dick. Oh my God. Sorry, Caleb. Okay, guys. So the way you play the game is that... Wait a second. What? Really? I send your mail out so long ago. Yeah. Okay, sent. Okay. Oh, someone didn't get their mail. I got you. Here we go. We're going to get to this. I swear to God. The way you play the game is that we're going to take a look at an item off of Craigslist. And for our overseas friends who might not be familiar with Craigslist, because apparently Craigslist is not worldwide, it's just an online market, a person-to-person online market. So we're gonna look at the picture. I'm gonna read the description, and then we are gonna all guess in the chat how much you think that item costs. And it's kind of like The Price is Right, but you can go over in price. So it's whoever is closest. So you can go over in price. You can be way under in price. It's whoever is just actually the closest to the actual retail price on Craigslist. Okay, guys, let's get into it. I feel like it's been so long since I've done this, I forgot how to do all this shit. Okay, here we go. Coral for fish aquarium. This is a very short and sweet one. Coral for a fish aquarium. Blank or best offer. Now I'm going to start with Kat here. Kat, how much does this item cost?
So is this real coral? This isn't some kind of like 3D printer rubbish. This is actual, real, genuine coral.
I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm thinking it is. It looks like it. Let's just go with it is real.
All right. Well, I'm disgusted on the first part because you should never take coral from the seabed. As a scuba diver, we are always told take nothing from the sea. But anyway, $89.
Ooh, and yes, this is in doll hairs, everybody. So U.S. doll hairs, please.
Yes.
U.S. doll hairs, and if you don't know the conversion, whatever. Oh, thank you, Karji. Okay, guys, go ahead, drop your bids in the chat if you are interested in playing for this prize pack. And let me see, what are we gonna do while we wait? Let's just play this is such a bop anyways. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna freestyle rap. Going for, okay, never mind. All right, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Freestyle rap. Why you got drop those bids in the chat before I come back and get you scat. I'm over here rapping real bad, cause my name's Mike and I'm fat. Watch out, everybody, drop those bids. Now, if you don't, I'll throw a fit. And it'll be really off-put because I am a fucking dude. Yeah, hey, whoa, yeah. Is that it, everybody? Just that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
You got it. All right. That Oakland, I call that the Oakland beat. That's the Oakland beat.
I was going to volunteer to do the titty jiggle, but that was so much better than that. So
wait. So you were gonna rap too?
No, I was going to volunteer to do the titty jiggle.
You could still do that.
But no. But you obviously you've stolen the moment. So
you know what? Next time I'll leave it open. My bad. I thought Ice Cube was on the street. Thank you.
No. You did us proud.
Hey, watch out. Yeah, well, you know I do. You know how I do. All right, guys, let's read through these. Cartagena says 120 doll hairs. Moving Dutchman says 105. Bonnie loves Cathesaurus. Gnome Fire says 20 doll hairs. Reina Mystique 89 USD for Cat. Your favorite today says 388 doll hairs. 1200 for the poached coral. Dang, Reina, you're going 1200. Dang. Your lady friend Bonnie says 150. Anybody else? Chilla Mike. Yeah, Chilla Mike. That's how we do. Now you got a jiggle, Cathesaurus. All right, guys. Let's find out how much this item cost on Craigslist. Drum roll, please. Actual retail price on Craigslist. $3,500 for the poached.
Well, that's Reina.
Well, there you go, Reina. Yeah, Reina. What? Way to save on some postage, girl. Woo! I'm just kidding.
They said piece of coral, not the bloody reef.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Greedy ass poachers. I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? That wasn't fair, everybody. Reina won that one, so we'll do one more. We'll do one more just because that was not fair. And Reina, you still have to play. It's just, Is it signed by Ariel? Yes. We're just going to go with yes. For $3,500, it is signed and dated by Ariel. All right, guys. This is a vintage Cavalier Coca-Cola Coke vending machine resto. Introduced In the late 1950s, this is a vintage Coca-Cola Vendo 96 coin operated soda machine. This model holds 96 bottles, which includes new Coke bottles as well as most beer bottles. This is considered one of the most collectible soda machines and would make a great addition to any game room or office. The restoration was done in Las Vegas about 10 years ago and is in working condition. It's been in our family since the 1950s and used to be in the Stardust Casino. The dimensions are approximately 67 inches high, 25 inches wide, and 20 inches deep. There you go. Cathesaurus, how much does this item cost on Craigslist?
I'm going a little bit higher this time. I'm going to go $3,499. 3499.
3499 US doll hairs. Boom. Can I give my prize to Bonnie? Sure. You could give your prize to Bonnie if you'd like. Yeah, that's a huge chunk. All right, guys. Go ahead and drop your bids in the chat if you are interested. Oh, wow. Your favorite today is going for it. All right, guys. We're going to jam out to the Oakland beat again. And this time, Kaz promised the titty jiggle. So here we go.
Whoa!
Yeah!
That's what I get for wearing a sports bra. The bloody thing don't jiggle.
That was amazing. That was incredible. We're still going. We're still going. Hold on, I'll do the titty jiggle. If Kat's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it too. All right, hold on. Pick your titty up and put it back down. For the ground and touch the ground. Do the titty jiggle. Do the titty jiggle. Put that up and put it back down. Deep on your. Wait. Okay. Hold on. I gotta do it right. Hold on. I'm gonna do this right. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Just pick your titty up and put it back down. Put your hands on your knees and touch the ground. Do the titty jiggle. Do the titty jiggle. All right. All right.
Oh, God.
Enough tittle. Enough tittle jiggling. What? All right. Enough titty jiggling here, everybody. That was amazing, everyone. That was amazing. Thank you, Kat, for that titty jiggle. We very much appreciated that.
I'm a bad influence.
American exports at its finest. I agree.
All right, what do we got here?
All right. So
Interesting.
So we have let's read through our things here and see who has won the prize pack. Reina Mystique, $34.99 for Kat. Bonnie says yay. Your favorite today says $8,833. Your lady friend Bonnie says $1,111. Puppet Princess says $5,900. Moving Dutchman says $2,450. Reina's laughing. Bonnie says yes, shake it. And Reina says yes, queen. And then Cartagena it says $10K. Wow, look at you, Cartagena. You're really going for it today. Moving Dutchman got the alert wrong. And American Exports at its finest. And Cathesaurus, fire. There it is. All right, guys. Let's.
What's Reina's guess? Reina make a guess?
Actual retail price on Craigslist. Damn, Moving Dutchman, the timing was beautiful. $4,800. Boom.
Great.
So who won?
Oh, Puppet Princess.
I
I
think-
think it could be.
I think it might be Puppet. I'm bad at math. I said no. You went $34.99 though.
Yeah, but Puppet Princess is closer than that.
No, it's $4,800.
Yeah, they're 1,100 too high, and I'm 13. No, I'm
No.
1,200.
They're. Oh, I see what you're saying. So okay.
Yeah.
Let me check the chat. Math is hard. Yeah. Your favorite today says Poppet, and I'm tending to go with Poppet
I
with
think
your.
Poppet is the winner.
I think that's your favorite today is actually well, they're good with math, so I'm gonna go Moving Dutchman. Wait a second, we have we have some contention in the chat here, folks. So wait a second. Is it Moving Dutchman? What did Moving Dutchman put down? He said 2450.
No.
Oh, Poppet was 59.
Yeah.
But and you were under. So wait, is it Moving Dutchman then?
No, but you said unlike Price is Right, you can go over. So you've got to be closest.
Yeah, it's whoever is closest. So it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Poppet is closest,
okay.
Even though they're over.
Reina, why you? Damn, Reina. Damn. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I get it. I get it. Poppet wins. Poppet. If you would like the prize pack, including a Mr. Fizzy sticker, feel free to either jump in the Discord and DM me, or you can just whisper me or reach out to me on any of the socials. Either one of those is totally fine. Reach out and give me your address, and I'll be looking in your window in no time. Just kidding. Bad joke. No, I will send you a prize pack, including fully embroidered, American-made patches. We speak English good. We got these printed stickers and other stuff. Thank you. You'll have to get on a plane first. Well, I'm not even allowed in your country, so I don't think you have anything to worry about. That was a shit joke. I think I've made it before too. I'm just good at making shit jokes. That's just my shit. It's my shit. All right. Well, let's. Oh, mighty. Hold on, mighty. Thank you so much for that gifted sub to Wild But Sober. Wild But Sober, our pretzel master over here. Wild But Sober, so I appreciate you. Okay, let's go ahead and get back into our other screen here, and we will let our guest go for the day so she can get on with doing cat stuff. So which
at this time of the day is absolutely nothing.
Well, that sounds fun too. I love that. Those are the best part of the day. Let me see. I gotta remember how to do this because I'm such a fucking burnout. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm still with you guys. Oh my god, who's that? What's happening? Oh my god! Stop it, Mike. Stop it. Okay, mighty. Thank you so much for gift subbing that sub to Off Cadence. Off Cadence was a guest here, and he was a great guest too. We had a really cool conversation. All right, let me get situated here, and then we'll get back into the saying goodbye thing. Stop. Holy shit. I have not done this in so long that I'm just terrible at the game section today. Poll is tied. Oh my god. What is that? What poll do you guys have? We do math good or we don't do math? What the fuck? Do you want to link up with We Speak Good and save on postage? It doesn't matter. We don't do math good. Yeah, fair enough. I'm okay with that, you know? I'm okay with that. I don't do math good. I don't do English good. There's only a couple things I do good, and I try. Anyways, Cathesaurus. The don'ts have it. The don'ts have it. Yep. Anyways, Cathesaurus, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you coming on the show, talking to us. Using your immense knowledge and intellect to guide our conversation to glory. So I do appreciate that very much so. And I have a wonderful rest of your evening. Is there anything you want to add, or is there any way you want someone to contact you? I mean, we put your information, we put your Twitter and your Twitch in there.
To either of those. I mean, to be fair, I haven't done much on Twitch in the last few months, but that may change before the end of October. I had a little musical extravaganza planned before the end of October.
Oh yeah. Didn't you want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Well, if people are, I'm sure the word will get out before. I wanted to do an homage to one of my favourite sing-along albums. I just wanted to do a little bit of a musical, have a bit of a musical send-off from the UK before I leave all my instruments behind. So we're gonna have a bit of fun with an old Styx record, and I'm gonna do it my way. So
that sounds great. That sounds great.
Well, it'll be different.
Dude, with Styx is awesome. You can't go wrong with Styx. That Styx is from a period. Thank you, Mighty, for that woo. Styx is from that period where prog rock was okay to be mainstream, which I don't think was Styx. Styx had some mainstream hits for sure. But
I mean, here's the thing: Paradise Theatre is not a great record, but it's a fun record to sing along to.
Thanks for that follow, Haas. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just it has its place and it has its moment. I've been able to see Styx, Foreigner, and Journey in one evening.
Oh wow!
Yeah, right here in Toledo. Actually, I got paid to see it because I was working security, and I didn't realize how amazing those bands were until that night. Because at that point, I was just like, "Fuck this," I was younger. It was just whatever I'm into is what's cool. Fuck that shit. So yeah. Youth. Cathesaurus, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will be seeing you around, and this is going to come out in the audio thing too, so we'll have a whole nother release going, so I'll